You should be paying $100 million a year.
He actually then rips up the Murdoch contract.
They beat Pakistan in the final with 400 million people watching.
It's actually an interesting case of a classic disruptor which has won.
10% of the Indian audience were tuning in.
80% of world income comes from Indian cricket.
It's been going for 17 seasons. It's watched by more than 1 billion people. It's the second most valuable sporting league in the world after the NFL, with each game worth $17 million in broadcast rights. The Indian Premier League is hugely successful and it's destined to get even bigger. But what are the long-term implications for the more traditional forms of cricket? An indirect lifesaver or the beginning of the end for test matches in particular? This is Sport is History, how it all played out. I'm Marcus Buckland, alongside Mark Pougatch, who once scored 106.
That's not that impressive, is it?
I thought I should try and big up your cricketing credentials straight away.
I have 2 centuries and I'm very happy with them. My son's about to beat me because he's already on 2. But listen, I haven't batted with Graham Gooch, though. Yeah.
Yes.
I love Graham Gooch. Go on, tell us about that.
Lord's Taverners against a Goodwood 11 a few years ago. And Gucci was coming back because there was an old England v old Australia test match on the horizon, and he was looking to get his eye in. Opened the batting with him. We put on 83 for the first wicket.
Yes.
My contribution was 8. He made about 74. There were a few extras, but it was brilliant because there he was down the other end just saying, keep your eye on. You do a better Gucci impersonation than me. Keep your eye on the ball.
Keep your eye on the ball?
Yeah.
Yes.
And all that sort of thing. And then he got out first. He let me down.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I thought we were going to make a century opening stand, but it was a magnificent experience. And just to watch him creaming those balls to the boundary, you'd start to run. He said, don't worry.
No, don't worry. When you play with professional cricketers, you never played for the Fleet Street Wanderers, brilliant cricket club, as you can imagine. I was batting with Derek Pringle one day, same team. Came down the pitch and went, Poogs, just try and play it a little bit later. I went, Derek, do you not think that if I could play a little bit later, I would play it a little bit later?
I know.
So I kept wicket to him, because I was a wicketkeeper in my day, to Vic Marks. Kept wicket to Derek Underwood once. That was fantastic.
On a wet wicket?
Yeah, and he was medium pace. Oh, he was medium pace, and it turned and it bounced. He had 4 caught at Silly Point, and then the number 11 went for a square cut and nicked it, and I followed it, and I caught it, and as he walked off the pitch, he put his arm around me and we went, and he was obviously lying through his teeth. He went, Alan Knott would have been proud of that. And Alan Knott was my hero growing up. So I was like, I literally went home and told my dad.
The ultimate praise.
Graham Gooch,
you were standing up to.
Yeah, well, I thought you've got to stand up to him. You've got to stand up to him. Graham Gooch, I worked with a lot because he was the England, he used to come and summarise on the radio with us. And then he went back to be the England batting coach. And I went to Lord's one day just to watch. As I walked in, England lost a couple of wickets. I thought, this is not good. Then they lost another wicket. I looked at the scoreboard. England were 33 for 3. And I thought, Gucci's got his work cut out there. With that, I see him scurrying behind the mound stand and the Warner stand on his way back to the pavilion. I thought, well, don't interrupt him because he's got work to do because his charges aren't doing very well. And he sees me and he comes running over to me. And I thought, I really don't want to detain him because he's got work to do. And he goes, hello, Mark. I go, hello, Graham. Everything all right? And he goes, how West Ham going to do this season? I thought, this is not the time or the place. You're 33 for 3.
Get your priorities right. No.
India, of course, is the team against whom he made 333.
That's right.
And he made 123 not out in the second innings as well.
This is very good knowledge.
It is. Well, it's the last test match. The reason I love cricket so much is because of my dad. And very sad, it was the last test match he ever saw. Because he died prematurely. But what a test match to see at the end. It was amazing. The story of cricket in India, I think it's worth just, spending a minute on the reason cricket is so big in India. Because, Marcus, this is a numbers game. The more I read about this, the more I looked at it. This is a numbers game. The IPL works for lots of reasons, but because of the population of India.
Well, you were giving me a few of those numbers.
Now 1.4 billion. The first time I went to India was in the mid-90s on an England A tour, and there was 1.1 billion, and there were no mobile phones. There weren't any in Britain, really, were there? And there wasn't really what there is today in India, which is a growing middle class, increasingly prosperous middle class because of technology and services. Places like Bengaluru, hugely into modern technology. But cricket this is probably not a surprise to people if they stop to think about it. The East India Company really were the people who brought cricket to India in the 1800s. And the Indian elites realized this was a way to curry favor with the British Raj, really. If we can play their game, then maybe they'll look well upon us. So it was a rather, I suppose, patrician adoption of the game, which helped it spread throughout India, which helped it spread to all castes and all classes. And India being the size that it is, and the huge diversity that it is, officially 9 different religions, 22 official different languages, cricket really became the unifying factor. Even after 1947, even more so after 1947, when they got independence. So if you stop to think about it in that way, the Indians adopting cricket, because this is a good thing to do, because the ruling British will look well upon us, actually makes complete sense. And there is a wonderful quote from a man called Ashish Nandi, who is an Indian political psychologist, who said, "Cricket is an Indian game accidentally discovered by the British."
Well, it fits together so nicely. Yeah. And of course, you mentioned Bengaluru. I was lucky enough to be there in December, actually for tennis purposes, but the passion for sport and also the passion to have an idol and to be able to go up close and see them in action. And if you're lucky, meet them, blends in so well with the Indian culture. Well,
you would have known it's a huge tech city. Bengaluru used to be called Bangalore. So as I say, the growth in the 1990s of satellite television, of an increasingly wealthy middle class with more disposable income, the growth of technology and service sectors, in particular places like Bengaluru, absolutely at the hub of it, is absolutely key to what goes on. So that's one side. The other side, of course, is 1983.
Yes. I think that's where the modern beginnings stem from. And I can't believe it was so long ago, because I vividly remember watching that World Cup final of 1983. It was the mighty West Indies. They'd won in 1975 against the Australians. They'd won at Lord's in 1979 against the West Indies. And they were the red-hot favourites, of course, against an India side that had plenty of talent. But this was the West Indies team of Viv Richards, of Gordon Greenwich, their ferocious fast bowlers.
The Indians had no one-day heritage at that stage. None at all.
I mean, they had some star. I mean, Kapil Dev, who actually I did bump into in Bengaluru in December.
Did you?
I saw him in this bar and I'm thinking, should I?
Yes.
Shouldn't I? So I went up and I tapped him on the shoulder. I just said, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I shall never forget the way you saved the follow-on in a test match.
I was there that day.
At Lord's.
Yeah.
And he sort of looked at me and went, yeah, okay. Moved on. But I couldn't
from memory,
resist the temptation.
He hacked Eddie Hemmings into they were rebuilding the Compton and Edridge stands, and he kept hacking him for 6. Yeah.
But that World Cup final saw the Indians all out for 183. Sunil Gavaskar made 2 from 12 balls.
He was never in a hurry.
Just as well he was out when he was. Mahinda Amarnath, 26 from 80. I mean, it's a very different game even then, of course. The West Indies chasing 184 are 50 for 1. And they're all out for 140. Viv Richards made 33. Amarnath followed up his 26 with 3 for 12. Sandhu and Madan Lal picked up 3 wickets.
I remember Viv Richards getting caught at mid-wicket, trying to hit a 6 into the grandstand.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a big turning point.
It was just an extraordinary afternoon. And that was the beginning. Suddenly, India realised they could mix it with the very best.
Well, and realised they could play one-day cricket completely. So that's 1983. Then the series we're talking about in 1990, Sachin Tendulkar plays in it as a 17-year-old. I think he gets 100 at Old Trafford. And the Indian economy, as we've said, in the 1990s, begins to globalise, begins to have satellite television. There begins to be some sort of satellite television reach. Rupert Murdoch's Star TV is the place to watch cricket in India if you want to watch the Test team. And this is where the other great figure, massive figure, who now lives in London and has done for some time, Lalit Modi, comes into the story.
Yeah, and he is a fascinating individual who has been living in London for quite some time, because he was thrown out of India, not to put too fine a word upon it. But, I mean, he learned his trade, shall we say, in American universities, realised the value of sport in particular, came from a very wealthy family, and decides that he wants to muscle in on Rupert Murdoch's patch, because he can just see that there is so much potential with the development of sport on television and all the rest of it. And with ESPN's backing, he goes to the Indian Cricket Board with a $20 million to secure the rights and begin quite a personal battle between himself and Murdoch.
Oh, yeah, there's a lifelong enmity that starts there, isn't it? So ESPN and Modi take the rights off Star Sports and Rupert Murdoch's enterprise in August 1994. They then merge, but there's obviously quite a lot of enmity still. But actually, Modi's sights is not really on being a big television executive. He wants to get on the board, doesn't he? He wants to get on the BCCI, the Board of Control for India, and he's elected vice president in 2005. And then I have to say, he does something genius, doesn't he? I think what he does next is genius.
I mean, I love this. First of all, you're absolutely right. It's a 10-year campaign before he gets on to the board. And he's still a very young man in 2005. And he is described thereafter as being like a wrecking ball. But this is brilliant, Mark, because the lead sponsor of the Indian team at that time was the Sahara Group. They were paying $100,000 a year. And Modi says, no. You should be paying $100 million a year. And they say, Okay.
I mean, literally. Or can you imagine? Can you imagine having to knock on the door of the chief financial officer at Sahara and go, "There's a new guy in town. We got to up it from $100 grand, not to $1 million or even $10 million, but to $100 million." And the guy goes, or the accountant lady goes, "Yep, that's fine. We'll do that."
Yeah. It does make you wonder how on earth the previous deal of 100,000 was struck.
And there's no sponsor for the kit either.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an oversight. So
what were the previous people doing at the BCCI?
Not much.
No.
So there's a bit of a bidding war, and Nike come in and agree to pay $44 million for the clothing rights. So he's made an awful lot of money in double quick time.
And not only that, he actually then rips up the Murdoch contract that they have to broadcast Test cricket. He just rips it up and he sells the rights to Nimbus, who are a construction company, for $612 million. So, and Murdoch is out in the cold. So he's got his revenge on Murdoch and he's made Indian cricket an absolute fortune in the process. So this is fantastic. We're talking about mid to late 90s. He's made Indian cricket an absolute fortune. They're better at one-day cricket. They've won the World Cup in 1983. But still this idea of an even shorter game than 50-over cricket is still some way on the horizon. I went on the England senior tour to New Zealand in 1997, and the great Martin Crowe had invented this game called Cricket Max. And they were trying to find ways of shortening the game even more. There's only two things I can remember about it. I watched a game one day. One, you could get a 10 if you hit it far enough. And the other, Mike Atherton was captain. If you remember, this was just off the back of the Zimbabwe tour, which had ended with David Lloyd's famous "We've flipping murdered them" comment when England didn't beat Zimbabwe. And we landed in Auckland, and there was a ITN TV reporter who was straight after Atherton in the first press conference, who'd had no sleep, having flown from Harare to Auckland. And Mike Atherton in this game of Cricket Max, I can remember going on Radio 4 talking about this, was caught by a teenage girl at mid-off. And I mean, you can imagine what the headlines were like. So they'd had Cricket Max, which just wasn't really going to work. And then we get to the turn of the century, and someone at the ECB, the England Cricket Board, goes, "Well, why don't we have a 20-over game? Why don't we invent a 20-over game?" Before we talk about that, I love the thought that somebody was inventing a 20-over game. Play 20-over cricket in schools, in clubs, in factories, in offices, because with our late summers, you could play 20 overs from 5:30, 6 o'clock in June and July and have plenty of time to have a game and then go to the pub.
I mean, all the great ideas do seem so simple, but how on earth it didn't come in before 2003, I don't know either. But obviously it was very popular very quickly. The first international T20 matches staged just a couple of years later in 2005. That's between New Zealand and Australia. That was very jokey, if you remember. Umpires were able to brandish red cards. Nobody was taking it seriously. It was a bit of fun, and that was it.
Billy Bowden with the crooked finger gave a bowler a yellow card, didn't he? No, they were not. No one was taking it seriously. Everyone thought it was a bit of what did we call it then? Hit and giggle.
Yeah.
It was hit and giggle. It was a bit of a laugh. It got people in. Players didn't take it seriously. The umpires gave yellow cards. The first signs of a league was the Indian Cricket League, the ICL, in 2007. And they were the first ones to think about city-based franchises and a plan to lure stars from all over the world. And Lalit Modi realizes this and thinks, hang on a second, they've stolen a march on us. So he does something very straightforward. He goes, well, you're all contracted to us, the BCCI. This is a central contract. If you play for this rebel league, you're banned.
Yeah.
Can't play for India.
No.
So guillotine comes down, doesn't it?
There was no way that was going to last. That was set up with Z Entertainment Enterprises. It actually consisted of, I think it was 4 international teams and 9 domestic teams from India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. But yeah, the fact that they could ban those players from representing India and indeed from playing in all other tournaments as well meant that it was never really going to get off the ground. Now, the same year, the first T20 World Cup is staged. And although Modi and some of his colleagues can see where all this is leading to, the BCCI in general terms were not that impressed. They decide to send a very young and inexperienced team to that T20 World Cup. And they end up winning it. They beat Pakistan in the final with 400 million people watching.
Wow. 400 million people watching the first ever T20 World Cup. That's the World Cup where because he knows he's got such a young team there, Lalit Modi says to the team, if any of you get 6 wickets in an over, that isn't going to happen, or hit 6 sixes in an over, that's not going to happen, I will give you a Porsche. And I was going to the Emirates one night to work on a Champions League game. I remember this so clearly. And I thought, I'm just going to pop into the pub because, I'm killing time.
Well, because you need a drink before you go and watch Arsenal in the Champions League or anything else.
And I thought, I'm going to pop into the pub and it was on. And I thought, I'm going to watch. It was England v India. I thought, I'm going to watch this. And a very young, blonde, fast bowler was bowling for England.
Stuart Broad.
Yeah. And I thought, I'll watch this over. It's amazing what happens sometimes. And I watched it. And Yuvraj Singh, I knew was a good batter. And he hit the first ball for 6. I went, good hit, that Yuvraj. And, I wasn't in a hurry. I watched the second ball. He hit it for 6. And now, of course, I'm thinking, well, I've got to watch the rest of the over. He hit 6 sixes in that over. I watched the whole thing. Yuvraj Singh hit 6 sixes, 1 over. And after the game, Yuvraj Singh finds Lalit Modi and goes, you owe me a Porsche, you owe me a Porsche. And Lalit Modi goes, sure, I owe a Porsche. Absolutely. It's, when was this? Probably September, October. He goes, you'll get it in March. He goes, well, I can't wait 6 months. He goes, well, there's a 6-month wait time if you want a Porsche. He goes, I need a car sooner than that. And he goes, okay, well, you can have a BMW now if you want. He goes, okay, I'll have a BMW. Yes, so right. He gave up his Porsche for a BMW now. I mean, I couldn't give 2 hoots about cars, so that would have been fine for me.
It was a BMW M5 for what it's worth.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think I'd have waited 6 months for the Porsche. Nothing against BMWs. No. But Modi, to be fair, at least he was true to his word.
He was. And the captain of that team? MS Dhoni. MS Dhoni was the captain of that team. And they come back and there's a huge open tour bus parade. And Lalit Modi goes, right, we're onto something here. You said 400 million. There's a young team that's won. The T20's been very popular and lots of people have come out to see them on the streets. And we own the contracts. We can control the contracts of all the players. And Lalit Modi, have been wining and dining overseas players. We can do this. The only problem really is that I think, thinking about it, is that the Nimbus deal was so big for Test cricket. There had to be a fear. Is there any more money out there? Is the market saturated? How do we go about doing this? And the answer really was to get a new audience, wasn't it? Was to get a new audience and was to shape it differently with Bollywood. Yes. So Shah Rukh Khan, the Bollywood star, is Lalit Modi's school friend.
Yes.
It's all
about who you know.
It's all about who you know. But it's genius, isn't it? He rang him up and went, you've got to own a team. And he goes, trust me, you'll make money out of it. And his schoolmate goes, okay, then. Yeah.
He's made a lot of money.
So, attract women to the game, attract Bollywood stars, have a franchise league, guarantee them. They managed to construct it so that they actually would guarantee them $5 million in revenue per franchise per season, and then have an auction.
Because McCullum is showing no mercy whatsoever. Here he goes again, number 12. A dozen sixes for McCullum. Gets it, 150 for Brendan McCullum.
They realised they needed three things to make the IPL successful. The best players, and as you mentioned, that wasn't difficult. They were being wined and dined. They knew they could become millionaires literally overnight. The financially sustainable teams and a competitive league. You've mentioned Shah Rukh Khan. There was also Mukesh Ambani, who at the time was India's richest man. Preeti Zinta, the Bollywood actress. So you've got all those different components, and it's no surprise that it hit the ground running.
But as you said, Bollywood actress. So, the fact that, that you're an actress who's in charge of one of the teams just means it goes across both sexes as well. So for the 2008 season, they kick off. Everybody had a budget, didn't they? Only one team didn't spend their budget, the Rajasthan Royals and Shane Warne, and they actually go to win it. But in the very, very first game, Brendan McCullum, maybe this is where Bazball began. Brendan McCullum, England's coach, makes 158 off 73 balls. Not just that, he's got a gold helmet and gold pads. And there are fireworks, there are cheerleaders, there's glitz and glam. They're not sixes, they're maximums. There's a different language, there's a different feel, there's a different approach. You could say, Fred Truman smoking his pipe might say it's not cricket. Well, it wasn't really cricket, but it was definitely entertainment, and it was high class and very skillful.
Yeah, it wasn't really meant to be cricket.
No, I think you're right. I don't think it was meant to be cricket. It wasn't meant to be cricket. The first couple of seasons, I worked on it for a couple of seasons, ITV4 had it. It was massively popular. Because you can imagine who was playing for it on a Tuesday afternoon on ITV4. Sky turned their noses up at it. Oh, your old employers, well, we don't want this. We don't want this riff-raff.
Big mistake.
Oh, it only took them 2 years for them to realise, actually, we do want it. It's really good. But to start with, suddenly you had these high-class cricketers playing this exciting game on a Tuesday afternoon on ITV4 and free to wear. You can imagine it hit a lot of communities who thought, actually, I absolutely want to watch this. I think you're right. It wasn't meant to be cricket. I think that was part of it. It wasn't trying to be cricket in many ways.
But McCullum, his timing was magnificent in more ways than one that day. To get 158 to this day, that remains the second highest score.
Does it?
In IPL cricket. Wow. Chris Gayle actually holds the record with an innings of 175. And very recently...
I worked on one of the games I worked on, Chris Gayle absolutely hit it everywhere.
He
hit it everywhere.
I think if I was to choose one player to go and watch and you could be guaranteed him scoring a lot of runs, I think it'd be Chris Gayle.
Yes.
It was extraordinary. And recently, KL Rahul scored 152. That's the third highest score in T20 cricket. It's actually, in IPL cricket, it's the highest score by an Indian player in any form of one-day cricket. But, the fact that he did that then was the perfect fillip. 5% of Indian viewers watched that match. Yeah. And by the time they got to the final that year, 10% of the Indian audience were tuning in.
And that's why I say this is a numbers game. I remember when I first went to India in the mid-90s, I think they said the population was 1.1 billion. It's now 1.4 billion. You do that, a 5% lift on a 1.4 billion population tells you everything. They renegotiated the TV deal in 2009 with Sony for 1.6 billion till 2017. The latest deal was worth 6.2 billion. It's as much for the digital and international rights as it was for the domestic rights in India. Suddenly you can see everybody wants to be a part of it. Now, Lalit Modi falls foul of the authorities, doesn't he, in India, the BCCI?
Yes, in 2010, he is accused of various, serious misdemeanors. There's a spot-fixing controversy. There are all sorts of allegations, and he is thrown out of the country. He's actually banned for life from the IPL in 2013. The game is cleaned up after that, and it continues to go from strength to strength. I'm aware, Mark, that we're throwing in all these figures, and it can get quite confusing. But just to stress again, as you rightly mentioned, that initially it cost $50 million for 10 years to own a team. So that was $5 million a year. And because the 8 teams at the time shared the $40 million from the broadcast rights in that first year, it was a sweet deal. Effectively, it was costing you nothing. The Royal Challengers Bengaluru this year were valued at $269 million. These figures just blow your mind, but I think we all get the general idea of how extraordinarily successful it's been.
And the fact that you say it's second only to the NFL per game is more than the English Premier League. Yeah. As you say, it's more than the NBA. It's obviously more than ice hockey. It is absolutely incredible. And the other thing that's happened is that so many people in India watch it on their phones because streaming is so popular, because data is pretty much free, I think, isn't it, in India? I had to read that a couple of times when you think about how much we all pay for. 620 million people watching on streaming alone.
Yeah.
The fact that phone technology has reached a stage where it has, that the networks have reached a stage where it has, that people can watch so much IPL on their phones, not just on their televisions, means that it's reach all the time. This is what I've said a couple of times. It's a numbers game. It's a Lala Modi game. It's actually an interesting case of a classic disruptor which has won, because we are recording this on the day the PIF have decided that they're pulling out of Live Golf. Live Golf, well, it's made lots of people towards the end of their golfing career very rich. Fair dues, good on them. But in terms of disrupting the golf scene, it's failed. The European Super League failed the night that, good on him, the Chelsea fan outside Stamford Bridge, did his banner say? Don't take away our cold Tuesday nights at Stoke. I mean, good on him. That failed. It's quite interesting, actually. This has worked. It's almost worked too much. We'll get to that now, because you have got these T20s in South Africa. You've got them in Bangladesh. You've got them in Australia, the Big Bash. You've got them in the Caribbean. You've had them in Pakistan as well. We have the 100. Lalit Modi thinks the 100 won't last much longer and that will merge into the Vitality Blast in some sort of way. I mean, I think the ECB missed a total trick. They could have been ahead of the IPL here. We could have had franchise cricket very early, but we stuck with the Vitality Blast. We lost out to the IPL, and now we've got the 100, which seems to be neither fish nor fowl, neither Martha nor Arthur. But the problem is, the accusation is, has the T20 scene, which is all driven by the IPL, caused such ructions in world cricket that the game that a lot of us grew up with, or the type of game that grew up with, is dying?
Well, that's the key question. But when you just look at these figures, and I'm sorry for mentioning them again, but you've already said £5.13 billion was paid for the global TV and digital IPL rights in 2022. I mean, 2027 is when the next deal comes up. At the moment, they're playing 74 matches a season. It could go up to 94. So the next set of figures are mind-blowing.
Are you going to get another team, are they? Is that what they're thinking about?
I think that is the plan. So, there is a grave danger eventually there's going to be too much of it. I saw a great quote, and I'm not sure who it came from, but it said, when you have the golden goose, you don't cut it open to look for more eggs. You feed it carefully and let it grow fat. Now, that's what they need to do. But the temptation, of course, is to max out in every way possible. Burnout becomes an issue. And then we do move on to the whole subject of whether lots of players who could be super test individuals are turning their back on the game at a very young age to just focus on the IPL and other franchises where they can earn so much money in half the time.
But I think the reassuring thing at the moment is, so Virat Kohli won the IPL, I think, last season. They said, is this great to win it at last? He said, yes, but it's 5 levels below Test cricket. Jacob Bethel, who's England's great young hope at the moment, wants to play Test cricket as well as IPL. I don't think there's enough of an anecdotal body of evidence that really good players are turning their back on Test cricket. I think they want to do all of it. And actually, we're in a situation. Kevin Pietersen is such an interesting case, because in 2008, so it was only 3 years after the Great Ashes tour, Great Ashes summer, he was banned from playing in the IPL and fell out with, this was the beginning of his falling out with the ECB, lots of bitching behind his back. Then he does play in the IPL the next season, and that obviously quite clearly pisses off some of his teammates. But now, the last couple of weeks, he's had a bit of a Barney on social media with Alistair Cook, his old captain. Alistair Cook is saying Jacob Bethel should be playing county cricket as things stand. And Kevin Pietersen is going, why does Jacob Bethel, what's he going to get out of playing in front of 200 people at a freezing cold Edgbaston when he could be at the IPL, even if he's not playing every game, which he's not, but soaking it up and learning from great players? Because this is amazing. This is the amazing thing about the IPL. Suddenly people from every single country become, not Pakistan, that's a different debate and a real shame, they're not allowed to play, but that they become teammates and they learn from each other. And that Jacob Bethel will be saying to people from India, how do you play this? Or from Australia, how do you play that? And so forth. So it's completely flipped around at the IPL in Kevin Pietersen's day. Don't you dare go and play there. Now the ECB go, we can't stop you going to play there. And I think their only consolation, the ECB, is that people like Jacob Bethel go, I still want to play Test cricket. Don't worry about that.
Well, you hope they do. And I think that different cricketing nations face different challenges.
Yes.
For example, if you look at central contracts given out by the ECB, I believe that Ben Stokes' most recent central contract was worth around £2.47 million a year. So financially, he's okay, and he can decide exactly where he wants to play and what he wants to do. West Indian central contracts, by comparison, are around £200,000 a year.
And that is the very good case of them turning their back on Test cricket, because they can make far more by being a privateer, just going around the world going, it's Monday I'm playing in the Big Bash, it's Wednesday I'm playing in Bangladesh.
Well, Nicholas Pooran is an example of that. He's only 29 years of age. He has retired from international cricket. He's going to focus on the IPL and other franchise events. He plays for the Lucknow Super Giants, and he can earn around £2.5 million from doing that.
Listen, it's not going anywhere, the IPL. It is an absolutely incredible thing to watch. I've never been to a game there. I went to the World Cup final in Mumbai when India beat Sri Lanka. That was, and MS Dhoni won it with a massive 6-over long on. That was fantastic. It is what it is. And the cricket's great. It sometimes is a bit of a six fest, and that can be the sort of law of diminishing marginal returns. Okay, I've just watched another six. I've just watched another. My daughter went to one. I got her a couple of tickets. I think she was in Bengaluru, and I got her a couple of tickets. And she said Kevin Peterson was standing in front of them and turned around and sort of looked at these two 18-year-old girls and thought, what are you doing here? I said, oh, you know what you're talking about. I said, you could do the cricket chat. So it's not going anywhere. And I think it's certainly in this country, the ECB have realised that we've got to have to play along with this.
Let's make some comparisons with Test match cricket, which celebrates 150 years next year.
It does. Yes,
so,
it does.
There's going to be a lot of interest on the Test matches next year in particular. Look, T20, you've got fast-paced excitement, guaranteed. You're bringing in new fans, and any sport cannot afford to turn their back on that. You're getting better athletes, even better fielding, fitness in general. You're getting the financial growth, and if that is spread wisely, then that could be good news. And you're in prime time.
Yeah, it needs to be spread wisely. The problem is 80% of world income comes from Indian cricket. And the problem with world cricket is that too much of the income goes to three countries, India, Australia and England. They don't spread it wisely enough, which is why you end up exactly with what you've just outlined, which is the West Indies cricketers and New Zealand cricketers not earning enough from their central contracts, which is why they turn their back on Test cricket, because they can earn more being a privateer going around the world. So that's a responsibility of the big three to spread their riches more evenly and equitably.
And you know what? Okay, maybe we're old-fashioned, Mark. I love Test match cricket, good Test match cricket. And the Test matches that we watched as youngsters are not really around today. It's much quicker.
Yeah.
Of course, it's been influenced, and that is a good thing. And I know that Modi himself has said that Test matches should be 4 days in length. He's even spoken, I think, about having 8-ball overs and make them all day-night Test matches. I don't want to change the number of balls in an over, but a 4-day Test match, Thursday to Sunday every time, day-night, because everyone's lives are so different now, where possible. I like the idea.
Day-night's not easy in this country because we have dusk. It works in Australia because it gets dark. You've been to Australia lots of times. I have. Dark very quickly. Turn the lights on in the interval. It's not good. Day-night cricket, it's quite difficult with the dusk. I know we play, T20 Test matches. Look, it's here to stay. You know, as an administrator, you're going to have to ride two horses, if you like, particularly if you're an administrator in the big countries. But as I say, the anecdotal evidence is still of the leading players that they want to do. Jacob Bethel batted at 3 in the SCG, made a magnificent 100. It's not turning, he could be England's number 3 for the next 15 years. Let's hope he is. And he could still, Lalit Modi reckons he could make that much money, $15 million a year playing in the IPL. Good on him.
Yeah.
Keep fit for 15 years. Do it all. That's what we want.
I like the idea that cricket now is one game with 3 personalities, Mark. You've got the Test match cricket, which gives you your character, your prestige, your legacy. They've brought in the Test World Championship now, haven't they? Which is decided over, 6 series, 3 home and 3 away in a 2-year cycle. You've got the one-dayers where you've got a balance. You've still got strategy and adaptability. And then the T20s bring in the entertainment, the innovation, and the reach. For me, the key, though, is I've taken my 2 boys to quite a lot of those T20 matches at the Oval. I mean, it's a mad atmosphere there on a Friday night, and it's enjoyable. But I don't quite know how to get them to develop from that to become test match lovers. That for society is an issue as well.
Absolutely. But all you can do is, you've taken them to water, haven't you? And if they only drink T20, then at least they're interested in cricket. Because there's 100 people around you and 2 of them go on to watch Test cricket who wouldn't have watched any cricket beforehand. That's where we are today. Good stuff. Interesting. I thought it was really interesting. As I say, you need a man with a vision. You had Lalak Moli. You need numbers. You need a growing economy. You need a growing sophistication of a society, and that's what's happened with the IPL.
And of course, it's going to be interesting to watch what happens in the closing stages of this season. The Mumbai Indians over the years have been ultra successful with 5 titles. The Chennai Super Kings also have 5 titles, but because of the way that they've balanced things out and you've got the salary cap and everything else, it is relatively even, and that's crucial in all sports. Well, Mark, thank you very much indeed. I do want to hear more about your 106. Of how many balls?
I would have thought my strike rate was probably about 60. Yeah. Not like Vaibhav Surashani, the 15-year-old, who is extraordinary. Absolutely. He made 45, I think it was, day before yesterday. His strike rate was 263. So that means for every 100 balls if he were in for 100 balls, he would have made 263. I mean, it's incredible. What that's the other thing about the IPL. What it's how these young boys and girls are batting now.
Yes,
to just do that. Because the IPL's now. There's now women's IPL. I mean, that's huge as well.
I mean, you go back to the 1975 World Cup and just look at the run rates then. And I mentioned Gavaskar in 83, 2 off 12. I mean that. But that was the way it was. It was played then. We constantly evolve. Hopefully, like our broadcasting. Well, it is a fascinating subject, and tomorrow we've got another subject which I suspect will spark your interest because Mark and I have been sitting poring over the facts, the stats, who we like, who we can bear to pick, and have named. We have
personal antipathies coming in.
Absolutely, our best ever England football 11s. So that's an extra bonus show coming out on Friday. Do get in touch. We are on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. You can also listen to us via all the usual podcast platforms. Do like and subscribe and hype and join in the conversation. And we'll see you again soon. He's Mark Pougatch and I'm Marcus Buckland.